Good afternoon. This is the Thurston County Board of County Commissioners for Tuesday, July 17, 2018. I'm Commissioner Bud Blake, Chair of the Board this year. I'd like to start off by doing introductions. To my left is Commissioner Gary Edwards. To my right, Commissioner John Hutchings. To his right is Labadina Bomar, Clerk of the Board. To her right is the County Manager, Ramiro Chavez. With that in mind, I'll ask Commissioner Hutchins to lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance.
Please stand. And in turn, I'm going to ask Bob Barnes to lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance.
Sure.
Thank you, Bob.
I pledge allegiance
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you, Bob.
All right. Thank you very much. So with that in mind, I'll ask if there's a motion to approve today's agenda.
Mr. Chair, I move to approve the Tuesday, July 17, 2018 agenda.
Second.
It's moved and seconded. As stated, all those in favor say aye.
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 Aye, and that motion carries. The board meeting minutes for July 10th, 2018.
I move to approve the board meeting minutes, July 10th, 2018.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded to approve the board meeting minutes for July 10th, 2018. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye, and that motion carries as well. So we have two presentations today, and one of them is absolutely fantastic to be able to introduce the fair mascot. And I have Mr. Joshua Cummings from the Community Planning and Economic Development. He's the director of that particular department, and he's going to give us some background on how the fair is and has been and all the good stuff about the fairgrounds. Go ahead.
The Thurston County Fair. The Thurston County Fair is an annual event that has around 30,000 attendees come from all over Western Washington, not just Thurston County, to come and celebrate all the great opportunities in terms of agriculture and food and fun and concerts that we have here locally. The fair has been a big part of our community for a long time, and in terms of economic development, I think it's important to remember not only do 30,000 folks come to attend approximately, but it brings in about $50,000 in net revenue average. Has about 15,000 volunteer hours of folks that put their blood, sweat, and tears into getting this thing off the ground. About 700 animal entries, 2,500 home arts entries, 300 4-H youth participants, and about 99 vendors selling their commercial goods and food and all that kind of thing. So not only is it economic development, but it's also community development in terms of the kids that participate and show their animals and their goods and, just learn a lot of things about how to be good citizens. One of the things I'm really proud of, though, is in terms of good citizens, is our approximately 15 to 16 member board, the Fair Board. These folks put in a ton of time trying to put this event on each year, and it's a great success. One of the long-term board members is Ann Shipley. She has served as the president of the board, and she continues to do a great job of making sure that all of us are in line and doing a good thing for the community. A special thing, since Ann couldn't be here today, she sent the mascot for the Thurston County Fair this year in her stead. The mascot this year is Henrietta Hen, and it's been stated that Henrietta says you'll have an exciting time at the Thurston County Fair. So in place of Ann Shipley, I'd like to introduce Henrietta to come to the podium.
All righty, let's hear it from the mascot, Henrietta.
I brought my notes because chickens aren't known for their smartness, so we're going to go through the notes.
You're a school teacher, right?
Just scratches, huh?
Yeah. So the fair runs from August 1st through the 5th, for anybody who doesn't know. On August 1st, Wednesday is bring a can of food for the food bank, and you get in for $1. So it's called $1 Wednesday. It's been very popular, so anybody who wants to come on Wednesday with a can of food, you get in for $1 to see all the things that the fair has to offer. You can also buy tickets online for the fair this year on the fair's website, which is a big improvement. It'll speed up entry at the gate, and we won't have all those little half-ticket stubs to worry about. We got new entertainment this year. Reptile Isle is coming. He brings tortoises and alligators and other reptiles and some of the animals the kids can actually touch. So that's going to be cool. We have a one-man band on Wednesday and Thursday, and still walkers on Friday and Saturday. We also have the usual live and local concert series every day during the fair that showcases local bands in the area. Commissioners' breakfast, of course, on Saturday morning, a long-standing tradition. We thank you for that. Market animal sale is Saturday night, and welcoming ceremonies are at 6 o'clock on Wednesday morning, or Wednesday afternoon. And as usual, there'll be a contest for all the VIPs that attend that ceremony. So thank you very much, and I hope to see you all there.
Any questions of Henrietta?
No, I would just like to tell you, thank you very much for all your commitment to the fair over the many years and your leadership. And I know the board does a lot, but you have been there right along, plugging away. And I just can't thank you enough for all the citizens of Thurston County. Thank
I'll
you very
relay that out to Ann when I see her.
much. Okay.
Thank you.
Good. How about you?
I have a couple things. Number one, you were introduced as a fair mascot, and I think you're an exemplary fair mascot.
Oh, thank
Okay,
you
to be
very
fair.
much. Thank you. Yeah, I got it, yes.
And you started in 1991?
This is I'm finishing year 27.
Well, I don't do the math. Okay, someone will do it. And did you say cloggers are coming out?
Well, cloggers probably are. I didn't say that, but
Okay, you didn't say it. Okay, my bad.
we always have cloggers, so I'm guessing so.
All right, and thank you very, very much, Henrietta.
You're welcome.
Appreciate that very, very much.
Thank you.
Yeah, we're gonna get a picture?
Picture,
Are we gonna
picture,
do a picture?
picture.
Yeah, huh? And
Yes.
we can't let you off that easy.
Can you get chicken out there? Can you get cluck for $1 at the fair?
I don't think so.
Oh, just wondering.
Sorry.
Right there.
I was gonna bring some panko batter, but. They make me laugh.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. God bless you. Bless your heart. God love you.
Thank you, man. Good to see you. Oh, Henrietta, sorry. All right, anything else, Josh?
No, thank you, thank you.
All righty, sure.
Thank you.
The next presentation we have is from Pretrial Services, and this is Pretrial and Probation Week Proclamation. And I have with us the Director of Pretrial Services for Thurston County, Mary Ann Clear. They give a little bit of background on just how Pretrial Services got started, where we're at, and where we think we're going. Hi, Mary Ann.
Good afternoon, Commissioners.
Good afternoon.
Thank you for the opportunity to be here. And also, this is July 15th through the 21st is National Pretrial Probation and Parole Week. And here in Thurston County recently, we've been making some changes with our pretrial department, moving more towards following the national practices and the trends. We've been focusing a lot on our risk assessments.
Speaking to the mic.
Yeah, yeah.
That's okay.
Sorry, you can hear me better now?
Now it's better. There you go.
Yes.
Go ahead and shout
Focusing-
into it. Shout into it.
Focusing on our risk assessments and our caseloads and ensuring that we look at public safety. I have noticed that Ms. Jennifer Creighton, the District Court Administrator for,
Where's she at?
she has
Hiding in the
probation,
back.
There she is.
and some of her
Hiding.
probation staff are here, Sunshine and Anna Mae. And then Mike Fenton with,
Yeah, I see Mike there, yeah.
yes, he also has juvenile probation.
Like,
Yeah.
They're also here in honor of this week as well. So we're grateful that the county is recognizing and honoring the work that we do and the work that our staff do every day. And
Sure. So tell us a little bit about how big you are as far as the pretrial services department or section, and then some of the things you do as far as the role in the whole law and justice piece there. Give us a little bit of background on that.
so pretrial services is myself and 4 staff. I have a team of 4 staff. There's 2 over at the jail. They do screenings and interviews at the jail for preliminary hearings. They do criminal history compilations, interviews, risk assessments. They verify information such as where people will be living should they be released, whether or not people are employed, and they give that information to the court and the counsel that will be in court that day. That way that when conditions of release are set, that they have that information ready when they're making those decisions. And then some of the individuals, when they are released in the community, we supervise those individuals.
So supervised means probation?
No, this
Okay.
is before the resolution of their case.
Okay.
So it's unique in that they're not actually having their case resolved yet. It's prior to probation or dismissal of their case, whatever the resolution may be.
Okay, great.
So,
Any comments or questions?
Well, I guess just for the audience, I would like them to know that without Mary Ann's services, it would cost the county dollars towards the criminal justice system a lot more than it does. It already costs a lot. We're not downplaying that. But without your services, it would cost a lot more because you add efficiencies to the whole program. And thank you very much for your hard work.
And you are, Mary Ann, the right person for the right job at the right time as well. Doing a tremendous amount of value to the entire system as it works.
thank you, Commissioner. And I believe it's $117 per inmate per day.
Per day.
Yeah.
Wow.
It adds up, yes.
Yeah. You want to remind them not to run out when I'm done reading?
The goals of pretrial services are to maximize release and court appearance. So once they are out, they ensure that we get them to court so that they don't get warrants and go back into custody.
Don't want that.
Yeah.
All right. He's going to read the proclamation.
Pretrial and probation week. Whereas July 15 through 21, 2018 is National Pretrial, Probation, and Parole Supervision Week, a week to commemorate the important work done by community corrections around the world to keep our communities safe. And whereas as an essential part of the justice system, community corrections professionals are in a unique position to make real differences in people's lives. And whereas community corrections professionals uphold the order of the court with dignity while recognizing the right of the public to be safeguarded from criminal activity. And whereas community corrections professionals are responsible for supervising adult and juvenile justice involved individuals in the community. And whereas community corrections professionals are trained professionals who provide services and referrals for justice-involved individuals. And whereas community corrections professionals promote prevention, intervention, and advocacy. And whereas community corrections professionals provide services, support, and protection for victims. And whereas community corrections professionals advocate for community and restorative justice. And whereas community corrections professionals are a true force for positive change in their communities. Now, therefore, be it resolved, the Board of County Commissioners does hereby proclaim, in observance of National Pretrial, Probation, and Parole Supervision Week, the week of July 15th through the 21st, 2018, as Pretrial and Probation Week in Thurston County, and urges all citizens of Thurston County to join us in this observance, adopted the 17th day of July, 2018, signed by your Board of County Commissioners.
Yay.
Are we doing that again?
Yeah, you're doing another photo. So have
Don't
Mike,
leave.
Come on, ladies.
Nuh-uh,
Come
don't
on.
leave.
Come on. Come on up. Yeah, come on up, Marianne.
Jennifer, come on, come
Jennifer.
on.
Yep. It's an all skate.
Is
Come on.
Mike
Stand
been?
here in the
Mike,
middle. We'll surround you.
Come on,
way to go,
Mikey.
Mike.
I'm say, put some on each side of Marianne's.
Hey, you know my tomato plant I got? The tomato plant? I got a couple tomato buds on now. Tomatoes coming in. Oh, it's beautiful.
Can we see? Yeah. Thank you. Congratulations. Good job. Love what you do.
660 pounds? Oh my gosh, that's beautiful.
All righty. There we go. So the next item we have on the agenda is the opportunity for the public to address the board. And so before we get started, I just let you know that there might be a sign-in sheet. I think Labanita has it in the back to get anybody else who wishes to sign in. While this is open to the public, there are some house rules I'd like to go over just to make sure that we're all on the same sheet of music, so to speak. So speakers are limited to a total of 3 minutes to address the board. Meeting attendees cannot donate your time to another person, so 3 minutes is yours and not yours only. The board reserves the right to restrict a person's opportunity to address the meeting for good cause. I mean, we're not looking for profanities or what have you, that kind of stuff. We ask you kindly to please silence your cell phones. Again, no lewd or offensive comments and no outbursts of any kind. No comments on commercials, commercial in nature, such as promoting a profit business, inflammatory, hate, defamatory, or discriminatory wording, remarks about pending land use permits or similar matters that could eventually become to the board. We do a board of appeal kind of thing, and if those are something you're talking about, we'll ask you to halt there, and we'll put it into a different lane, if you will, so that we can do it in a more formal sense. So with that in mind,
Commissioner, in addition, no comments from or about candidates that are running for election.
yeah, candidates, electioneering, that kind of stuff. So we don't allow that right now. So, all right. So with that in mind, if you haven't signed up, don't worry. I'll call you up if you wish to change your mind later on. But go first down the step. First come, first serve. You see on your right up here is the 3-minute countdown, and you'll get to 0. You'll hear the little microwave sound that goes something like that. And so when at that point in time, if you're midstream of your thoughts, I want you to finish them up, but I'll ask you kindly to start finishing it off so that we can stay within the 3-minute time limit. And when you get up to the podium, even though you put it right here, say your first and last name and then generally where you're from in the county. We're not looking for your exact address, but just generally where you're from in the county. So with that in mind, I have Jan Thurston to be the first person. And after that, Mr. Larry Weaver.
Good afternoon, Commissioners. My name is Jan Thurston. I'm from Rochester. In interest of time, I like to refer to the sheet I handed out
Right here.
and go to the third paragraph on the front page from the bottom. And I'm skipping basically all the history on the gopher issue that I've been before you and talked about several times. It's my contention that the county and U.S. Fish and Wildlife are in specific violation of the state constitution. Article 1, Section 3, personal rights states, no person shall be deprived of life, liberty, and property without due process. Article 1, Section 16, eminent domain states, no private property shall be taken or damaged for public use without just compensation having first been paid into the courts. Flip over to the next page, and you see the section on the next page that is marked B. You see the historical value of the 5 acres that I gave to Todd, and it has varied from 61,000 to 67,000. So basically it has stayed in the middle 60s. Now look at the section A up above. The current value for 218 as determined by the assessor is 35,200. That means that the property value has dropped from 61,400 to 35,200 in 1 year. And the very last section C on the back page, it says that the reason for that is to account for significant gopher mounds affecting the utility of the property. It isn't the mounds themselves. The mounds are an indication of the presence of gophers. Now, it's ironic for me to think that he's entitled to just compensation, but instead of just compensation, he gets a penalty, in that in order to be eligible for a building permit, he has to get from U.S. Fish and Wildlife an incidental take permit. And according to the take permit, he has to sign a conservation easement with the county, and to assure compliance with the conservation easement, he has to pay the county $600 per year. So instead of just compensation, he gets a penalty of $600 a year. And then after that, he may be eligible for consideration for a building permit. That concludes my testimony, and I honestly hope that the prosecuting attorney will take a look at this and then determine when is enough enough. We are simply adding restrictions upon restrictions, and the values are decreasing. Thank you.
Thank you very much for your words, sir. So Larry Weaver is the next person, and after that is Mr. Mark Mahaffey.
Commissioners, for the record, my name is Larry Weaver from Rochester. Good to be before you today. Shortly following the election of Commissioners Edwards and Hutchinson, I attended a meeting with the commissioners and representatives of U.S. Fish and Wildlife with regard to the Mazama-Paca gopher. Commissioner Edwards at that meeting posed 3 questions, and I'm paraphrasing. How many gophers are there today? How many were historically present? And how many should there be to get them off the endangered list? The answer from Fish and Wildlife to each of these questions was, we don't know. Many South Thurston County property owners have been damaged by the restriction placed on their property for a species Fish and Wildlife have admitted they really don't know if it's endangered or not. In cases where property owners wish to use their lands, where the presence may be or has been for the gopher has been to buy another property solely to give away for permanent habitat, or set aside and commit to maintain much of the subject property for habitat, or as had been proposed by past commissioners, as much as $42,000 per acre may be the right number for the fee to develop your property where a gopher may be residing. As stated in Black's Law Dictionary, the definition for damaged is made less valuable, less useful, or less desirable. Thurston County Assessor has acknowledged damage inflicted onto Mr. DeVeton's property in the amount from $64,000 down to $35,000 in 1 year. That seems to be a textbook definition of damaged. Webster's definition for taken is to seize or capture. I have personal examples whereby as much as 64% of a property has been taken or seized for habitat to accommodate Fish and Wildlife's opinion that it is needed to keep gophers from going extinct. The Washington State Constitution, as Mr. DeVeton said, states that no private property shall be taken or damaged for public or private use without having just compensation first been made. Under the assessor's example I've used, just compensation should have been nearly $30,000 paid to Mr. DeVeton before inflicting, by definition, government damage. Forced requirement to buy another property, instilling extraordinary fees, or seizing great portions of private property to accommodate a government opinion that the gopher is endangered are all excellent examples of taking or damage for perceived public use. In behalf of property owners that have had property rights taken and damaged, I would respectfully request, as Mr. DeVeton has been, to instruct their legal counsel to investigate and determine if this may be in direct violation of the Washington State Constitution, thereby opening up potential lawsuits from those owners so affected. Thank you very much for your time.
Thank you for your words,
Okay,
sir.
Mr. Weaver, can we have him leave his notes with the county manager?
Could you leave us some notes or send us some?
I'll leave
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you.
Alrighty. Alrighty, Mark Mahaffey, and then after that, Christina Morris. Hello, sir. How are you?
Hello, gentlemen. My name is Mark Mahaffey. I live in the Lakemore neighborhood, which is also known as Kin Lake. This is about the Lakemore Community Club's open space application. The approximately 22-acre parcel that is situated to the northeast of the Lakemore subdivision is owned by the Lakemore Community Club, Incorporated, which is the neighborhood's HOA. But because of the current open space classification restrictions, the only access permitted is for scientific research. This means that the Kin Lake property owners that paid for the 22 acres are not able to access the property without jeopardizing the open space tax status, and that for all practical purposes, the vast majority of Kin Lake property owners are not able to benefit from the property. The open space application that you are being asked to approve will allow Kin Lake property owners to benefit from the property that they bought, because it will allow those property owners to build and use a low-impact nature trail on the property. The trail will also allow Kin Lake property owners to monitor the property to ensure that it is used in a legal and healthy manner. And you can think of this latter activity as a neighborhood watch program. There are between 288 and 291 home sites in Kin Lake. There are only 10 of those parcels that share a property boundary with the 22 acres. Under the existing open space application, those 10 parcels are the only Kin Lake property owners that benefit from the 22 acres, given that the 22 acres provide those 10 parcel owners with an undeveloped area adjacent to their properties. The other 278 through 281 property owners should also be able to benefit from the 22 acres by being allowed by the open space classification system to access a simple and environmentally sound trail on the 22 acres. Thank you.
You bet. Thank you for your words. So I have Christina Morse is the next person, and after that it's Sean Coombs. Hello, Christina.
Hi.
Can you pull the mic down just a tad? There you go.
Good afternoon. My name is Christina Morse, and I live in the Kin Lake neighborhood. And I'm here supporting and speaking for the movement of the open space application to get it on the docket. We started this process. We represent legally our corporation, the nonprofit Lakemore Community Club, and we started this application last year, September 2017. I chair the Urban Forest Committee. I actually co-chair it with another member. And we have been having meetings since October of 2017. Our meetings are open to all our members, and we report to our board monthly. So this is, our group is not a little private, ad hoc group. We are a sanctioned committee from the board of directors and the corporation. And I just want to emphasize that I understand there are some naysayers, actually good neighborhood friends of mine, that they've never come to any of our committee meetings, but we hear the talk, we hear the gossip, and we want to work with them. And we have a number of people on our committee that are actually have expertise in building trails, like Friends of the Capitol Forest. And it would be common sense not to put a trail next to somebody's backyard. So I have given you a copy of a proposal, and again, this is a proposal, and the yellow represents the original proposed trail. The red represents what we created to remove the homeless debris, because we had it removed by hand, no vehicles. And so we thought, well, as long as we are creating access to the homeless debris, why don't we create a theoretical proposed trail? So what you see in red actually exists. And I invite any of you, any of the commissioners to come out and look at this trail. You will see from the trail, you don't see people's houses. We're at least 100 feet away from people's houses. You don't see them. I mean, if I could do a videotape, I could show you. The trail is not near people's houses. I've also provided, a proposed trail sign and also our proposed trail design. Thank you. I'd love to see this get on the docket and get going.
Thank you so much for your words today, ma'am. So I have Sean Coombs is the next person, sure. And after that is Marion Bailey.
My name is Sean Coombs. Good afternoon. I have some of the documents. I don't know if I didn't hand those. Bring them up.
Thank you.
So I live in the Ken Lake community. You will soon be asked to consider this open space application, which was submitted by the Board of Trustees of the Lakemore Community Club, which is the governing body of the Ken Lake Homeowners Association. I was the board president when the application was submitted, so I'm quite familiar with it. The current majority of the Ken Lake Board of Trustees continues to support the application you'll be considering. I appreciate Commissioner Blake's bottom line up front approach to the county business, so I'll start with the bottom line up front for this application. The application is, the HOA is simply asking to enter a revised open space agreement so that our membership can access our commonly owned urban forest for recreation. The current open space agreement that we were currently under, that was entered into in 1995, allows access to this land only for scientific research. Considering that installations like tennis courts and pools are allowed in the private recreation category, it seems that recreational trail will be well within the bounds of the open space program. This needless restriction has resulted in the land being unmonitored. Unfortunately, this lack of monitoring has resulted in an accumulation of tons of homeless encampment debris, and this cost the HOA over $2,000 to remove. It is very likely that homeless camps will become reestablished if we continue to not be able to monitor this land. I'm sure it is obvious to the Commission that there is some degree of internal controversy about this proposal. The majority of the opposition to this proposal originate from a few homeowners that have the urban forest behind their homes. I understand the perspective of these few homeowners, but it simply does not make sense to exclude the other 270 plus homeowners from the land because of the desires of a small group that wishes to maintain a private green space that the rest of us paid for. Lastly, when this land was purchased in 1987, recreational use was one of the primary justifications for purchasing this land, and I've included a copy of that ballot that you can see. There was the original purchase ballot, and I've outlined where it said down below that this property has recreational potential. So it was one of the main justifications for purchasing the property. I would like to request that the Commission expeditiously approve this application that is recommended for approval by county staff as well as by unanimous vote of the Planning Commission. Approving this application will allow our community to install a wonderful natural amenity. It will improve our ability to monitor our land. Thank you.
Thank you for your words. All righty. So next is Marion Bailey. Hello, Marion.
Oh, hi. Can you hear me okay?
A little closer to the mic. There you go.
Can you hear me okay?
Perfect.
Okay. I'm not going to go over some of the history as my cohorts recently have. I am glad that they brought up that the rezoning application was put before you. It was legally done. We're not an ad hoc group. Christina talked to that. I simply want to say that the rezoning isn't really needed to allow people who own the land to walk upon it. I totally understand that there are people that have a fair amount of fear, and Sean just talked to that. These people that have their homes right behind the forest are fearful. I want to say that I also have a home right next to the forest, and it's simply a matter of opinion. I am not fearful of having people walking in the forest. Other people are. I'd like to say there was some communication issues as far as Lakemore neighborhood, Lakemore community, and the Ken Lake neighborhood. They're all one and the same, and I think that you probably got that by now, but it was confusing in the beginning. And also our Lakemore Community Club, the LCC, is our governing HOA, and I think that was a point of confusion early on, but maybe not now. I'd like to say, to reiterate what Sean said, that the board president in 2017, the 2018 board president, and many, many residents and other leaders within our own neighborhood support this application. Of course, there have been a few very doggedly determined and loudly vocal residents who oppose this application. I'm one of the ones that support. I'm equally doggedly and vociferously loud about it. I'd like to say that we've had a change in our neighborhood community residents. We have a fair amount of older folks that have been moving away, and a lot of younger peoples with families and kids are now populating our neighborhood, and they want to get out. They are the kind of people that are very active. And so that's kind of the dynamic that we're seeing, is a lot of active people want this trail, a lot of inactive people don't. Keep that in mind. I also am sad to see that some people are using fear tactics to frighten people, and I believe it's manipulative, and I believe it's very controlling behavior. Some people are saying that homeless people, are scary. Well, they're also saying that fire is going to be a real issue. And my counter is, well, okay, homeless people, we know they're there. They use fire. Mental and emotionally unstable folks use fire, and they're out there, and which is really more of a fire risk. Families, responsible residents, or people that shouldn't be there to begin with. We need to be able to monitor that land by walking on it. Thank you.
Thank you for your words today, too. Next on the list, I have Bob Barnes. Yeah. And then after that, Micah Anderson.
Thank you, Commissioners. My name is Bob Barnes, and I'm a resident out on Cooper Point. So I'm in Bud Blake's area. And I want to talk today about the Thurston Conservation District Rates and Charges program. But before that, I want to commend the Commissioners and the County Manager for the fish passage enhancement projects that are going on in the county right now for salmon recovery. That's a very important thing, reducing barriers as well as improving habitat. Those are essential to salmon recovery. So anyway, the Conservation District rates and charges, I support the change to rates and charges funding system of taxation from the current assessment system used in the past. We in Thurston County need a consistent and defendable funding base for Thurston Conservation District. We need the consistent professional access to the Conservation District staff to conserve, preserve, enhance, and provide educational resources to our community to protect and sustain our quality of life for all living things. I have worked with the Conservation District staff for the past 30 years. I used to work for Department of Transportation. They are incredible at promoting knowledge, access to and use of native plants for food, pollinators, habitat, and protection of our water resources and green spaces. The knowledgeable staff is amazing at working with schools, students, and teachers, tribes, and community members to educate about the importance of environmental quality for people, salmon, and the web of life. They also provide feedback about the health of our watersheds. Every year we have a Green Congress that meets at the Evergreen State College, and all the schools in the whole Thurston County area come to that and learn about the health of our watersheds, which is a really important thing for our young stewards. As Commissioner Edwards says, children are 100% of our future. And so it's really important to keep them engaged. Right. These staff are the gatekeepers of our quality of life in Thurston County. They collaborate with many government and non-government aid organizations to protect and enhance salmon runs, sustainable agriculture, forestry practices, and promote low-impact development. So I would encourage the county commissioners to support this new program.
All right.
Thanks.
Thank you so much for your work today, Mr. Barnes. So next I have Micah Anderson, and after that is Merle Bernstein. Oh, Micah, how you doing?
Not too shabby yourself.
Pretty good.
Next, I'm Mike Anderson. I hail from Olympia, Washington. Last week, I brought to your attention the statutory bonding requirements of all deputy officers operating within Thurston County, including deputy prosecutors, deputy sheriffs, deputy fire chiefs, and so on. And it was regarding to remedy and action. And I also want to bring to your attention a notice that Mr. Frank Snars received from the Thurston County Sheriff's Office with regards to an eviction, and it's a void order, but he's worried about it being executed tomorrow morning, which would leave him looking for remedy within his damages that he'll suffer. And so I brought copies of the notice he received and the person claiming to be a deputy sheriff, and I have not been able to find any bonding information with regards to his position. And I also brought a copy of the order, which indicates that the order he'll be executing tomorrow is a void order. And I also have the statutory wording itself about the bonding requirements of all deputies that I really would appreciate you all take a look at. Thank you.
Oh, okay. Thank you very much.
Sure. Thank you, Mr. Anderson. As you stated, you came and testified in front of the commission last week, and we have done an investigation of your statements. And we have looked, our attorneys reviewed the RCW 3616-060, and that's the statute that you cited last week.
Correct.
As well as RCW 3616-050 at 8. And we came to the conclusion the bonds for deputies are only needed if the legislative authority, the Thurston County Commissioners, deem appropriate, and they have not taken that action. We also consulted with the Municipal Research and Services Center, which is the MRSC, that's the municipal group who help us see how other counties approach this. And they have also concluded there is not a need for have the deputies be bonded. So
I spoke to your bonds.
I'm not here to argue. I'm just responding to your comment. Thank you.
Company, and I informed them about the bond scheduling, only indicating one person for that position, and they clearly stated that it does not cover all employees.
So as far
and
as
if you'd like to send me a letter with regards to what you just stated, I'll gladly supply you all the case law from Washington State that clears otherwise.
I just responded to your comment. Thank you.
I believe I need a written response to be adequate. Thank you.
All right, thank you. Next, I have Merle Bernstein.
Merrill Bernstein, Tenino.
So sorry.
What?
I pronounced Bernstein. Sorry.
No, Merrill, not Merle. Sorry. So this is in regards to Hillside Farms Event Center, but I would strike the word farm out of there. It is actually Hillside Event Center, placed as if it were a farm. So I'm here for a few reasons. One is to show that we had a small group come last time, but that was not just a one-off. I mean, this is something that is totally inappropriate in the area, as we addressed before. The second thing I want to point out is one of the main dangers. Well, there are several dangers with no fire and safety systems in place, and there are firemen that live right next door and Thurlow Lane that testified to that last time, but also the bicyclists and the athletes that use the road. I mean, we have a hard enough time driving on 143rd Avenue Southeast, coming around a curve, going over a hill. You do not see the bicyclists, and I go slow. So these guys are coming off the hill with no line sight, whatever you call it, where you can't see clearly from both sides. It's just an accident waiting to happen, and I can't urge you hard enough to do something soon. And following that is the fact that I've been building a house right down the street. There's no way that I could occupy that house had I not gone through every step of the permit. And I'm not occupying it now because I'm not finished with my inspections. And Hillside Event Center has been having public events, as you know, weddings and helicopters coming in, dropping off brides and all kinds of things. And yet they have not, he is got a long list of violations which we have submitted over and over. So this is going to be a continuation until we see that is shut down and until everything is met. And again, I will say that someone must be benefiting from this because of all the work that we've been doing and time we have taken to address the issues, and it's going nowhere. So thanks for your attention.
Thank you, ma'am. So next I have Stephen Morrison. Hello, Stephen.
Commissioners, good afternoon. My name is Stephen Morrison. I live in the Foxhall neighborhood near Henderson Inlet. I'm here to inform you of a disturbing situation. I am a citizen member of the WIRA 13 Watershed Restoration Committee. The letter that I provided to you today is from the Washington State Recreation and Conservation Commission. It's regarding the lead entity fiscal agent. Up to this point in time, since it was created in 2000, that has been the Thurston Conservation District. However, the letter goes on to say that the Conservation District has not signed the current grant for this next year, potentially leaving $830,000 worth of salmon restoration projects on the table. The Conservation District was given until July 13th to sign that particular agreement with the Conservation District, the Recreation Conservation Office, and to the best of my knowledge, that has not occurred. So actually today, we are without salmon habitat restoration opportunities within the Deschutes watershed and its environs. So the other opportunity, if in fact the Conservation District is not looking forward to taking up this grant, is for the county commissioners, along with the tribes and the other jurisdictions, being Olympia, Lacey, Rainier, and Tumwater, to reestablish who that fiscal agent should be for these grants. I've been on the committee since 2001. I served now for 5 years as a citizen representative because I thought the work was incredible. And the people that I was working with, as Bob Barnes indicated, staff at the Conservation District are exceptionally well qualified. I am deeply troubled that the work that we have done is now at a halt, literally, due to the technical realities of fiscal mismanagement. I hope that this can be resolved. I suggest that you take a look at the letter and work with your other jurisdictional entities and the tribe to look forward to holding a meeting and establish a lead entity that can carry forward with this very important work. And I too would like to take my next 15 seconds and congratulate you on your road restoration and your culvert projects. This is fantastic and greatly needed. Thank you so very much.
Thank you for your words today, sir. So that's all I have who've signed up in the affirmative to be coming to the podium. Is there anybody by a show of hands who would like to come to the podium to address the board? Seeing no one, we'll move on to the next item on the agenda. The next item on the agenda is the county manager's update.
Thank you, Commissioners. Before the Ken Lake residents leave, I'd just like to have a clarification. The open space application that's before you at this point is not for you to approve that application. The process is that staff is requesting for you whether you'd like to hold a public hearing where you can formally take public testimony on this particular application before you take an action on this. So just clarification on the steps that we need to take. Also, I'd like to, for the public, highlight some of the activities that you have achieved in the last couple of weeks. On July 10th last week, you had a meeting with representatives from the Washington Fish and Wildlife, as well as the Economic Development Council and the mayor of Tenino. And this is related to a potential RCO grant the Washington Fish and Wildlife is trying to apply to purchase close to 900 acres in the Tenino area. The gist of this conversation was the Board of County Commissioners to support this application. I believe this conversation was successful because there is, within the acquisition, there is some prime pocket gopher habitat. And as a result of that conversation, I believe we're going to be creating a partnership with, we create a preserved environment for the pocket gopher species, as well as the county can enter into a contractual partnership with Washington Fish and Wildlife to work on mitigation credits. And that's related to the habitat conservation plan. The county is in the process of doing so. You also are considering reviewing a proposed annexation by the city of Tumwater. You reviewed that this morning, and you will continue to with that conversation. You ask the staff to reach out to the affected property owners, and this annexation is what we consider to be an island. What that means is this particular area is surrounded already by the city of Tumwater, and the staff is going to follow up as to what the citizens affected by this annexation will have to say. And also you are considering delegating the signature of the final plat approval to the county manager, and that is going to require a public hearing. And the intent of this particular action is to streamline the signature process and eliminate probably 2-3 week process on the development activities. Lastly, yesterday, with the coordination of the Thurston County Fire Marshal, we have established a burn ban effective 3 o'clock yesterday, July 16, 2018. And this burn ban goes to September 22nd, 2018. This includes all the outside burning yard waste and everything else associated with the open fires, except for barbecues. Individual property owners continue to enjoy their own barbecues, and this burn ban does not affect those activities. That's all I have for you.
Okay. That concludes the county manager's update portion. The next item we have is number 3, which is the consent items A through D. And I'll ask if there's a motion to approve A through D.
I move to approve consent items A through D.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded to approve the consent items A through D. All those in favor say aye.
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 Aye, and that motion carries. So we'll move on to department items, which is item number 4. The first we have is Public Health and Social Services. We have the approval of the County Professional Services Agreement with Contractors of Employment and Day Services from 7/1/18 to 6/30/19. We have Jennifer Popchak-Hakim from the Social Services Program. How you doing, Jennifer?
Good afternoon, Commissioners.
Hey.
I'm here today to ask that you move to approve the contracts for the 6 employment and day providers for developmental disabilities, and those would be Career Quest, Community Resources, Exceptional Foresters, Morningside, St. Mike's Tykes, and Bodice, to provide employment, community inclusion, and high school transition services under the Developmental Disabilities Administration contract. And the period would be July 1st, 2018 to June 30th, 2019. And I also ask that you authorize the Director of Public Health and Social Services to sign these amendments for the period of July 1st, 2018 through June 30th, 2019, including signing future amendments that do not change the duration by more than 25%.
Sure. Any questions of Jennifer?
No, I would just like to point out, thank you very much for your commitment and dedication to those folks that are less fortunate. So thanks for all your hard work.
Same thing. Thank you, Jennifer, very much.
Yeah, appreciate everything you do. Is there a motion?
Mr. Chair, I move to approve Thurston Mason County's Developmental Disabilities Professional Services Agreement with Career Quest, Community Resources, Exceptional Foresters, EFI, Morningside, St. Mike's Tykes, and Vadis to provide employment, transition, and community access services for the period of July 1, 2018 to June 30, 2019, and authorize the Director of Public Health and Social Services to sign these agreements, including signing future amendments that do not change the duration by more than 25%.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded as stated. All those in favor say aye.
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 Aye, and so your motion carries. Thank you, Jennifer. So next we have another item from Public Health and Social Services. It's the approval of local solid waste financial assistance agreement with the Department of Ecology for implementation of education and outreach. And we do not have Chris Hawkins, we have Jennifer.
We do. Jennifer Johnson here representing this. And I'm asking the commissioners to approve the Department of Ecology.
Jennifer,
Yes.
bring the mic up just a little bit. There you go. Go ahead. Sorry about that. We can barely hear you.
Is that better?
Better. Mhm.
Okay, super, thank you. So I'm asking the commissioners to approve the Department of Ecology Waste 2 Resources Local Solid Waste Financial Assistance Agreement for a total eligible cost of $219,029.33 for the duration of July 1st, 2017 to June 30th, 2018, and authorize the Public Health and Social Services Department Director to sign the agreement as well as future amendments that do not change the dollar amount or duration of the agreement by more than 25%.
All right, any questions of Jennifer?
And those dollars are going to be the matching dollars?
The matching funds are 25% in addition to that.
And they come from?
They come from the tipping fees.
Okay, thank you.
No.
Can you give a little bit of background on what this entails, the 3 programs that are involved with the particular funds?
Yes, sir.
Just a short version of each one.
Sure. So the 3 main project areas for this are retail staff training for garden centers in Thurston County. This is where I go and talk to all of the garden center staff, well, as many as I can manage to in a short period of time, and discuss with them the safest products that they have in stock in the stores. This provides them the ability to help the public with those questions. The second component is a schools program where we will be working with one school as a pilot to, a school district, excuse me, as a pilot to see if we can find safer cleaning products for use in the school as well as safer landscaping products. And then the third component is to work with child care centers to provide assistance and education around their use of hazardous materials, particularly bleaches and other sorts of disinfectants that they may be using.
Great, thank you very much.
You're welcome, thank you.
Anything else? No, is there a
Thank
motion? Is there a motion?
Mr. Chair, I move to approve Department of Ecology Waste 2 Resources Local Solid Waste Financial Assistant Agreement, W2RLS-WFA-1719-THCOPH-00084, for a total eligible cost of $219,029.33 for the duration of July 1, 2017 to June 30, 2019, and authorize the Public Health and Social Services Department Director to sign the agreement as well as future amendments that do not change the dollar amount or duration of the agreement by more than 25%.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded as stated. All those in favor say aye.
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 Aye, and your motion carries, Jennifer.
Thank you.
You bet. Thank you so much. Next, we have number 5, and that is Public Works. And we have Scott Davis here to give us a background on request for approval to amend the professional services contract with Thurston Regional Planning Council for transportation planning services. Is that right, Scott?
That's correct.
All right.
Thank you. Scott Davis with Thurston County Public Works. So in June of 2016, the Public Works Department entered into a contract with the Thurston Regional Planning Council to assist in updating the transportation chapter of our comprehensive plan. The last time this was updated, it was over 10 years ago, and periodic updates are required by state law. So the transportation chapter of our comprehensive plan, one of the main elements of that is looking at future road conditions and transportation conditions. And so in looking at that and looking how growth is impacting our transportation system, the plan provides goals and policies to help guide what Public Works does as we implement transportation projects or plan transportation projects across the county roadway system. Thurston Regional Planning Council is reviewed, or part of their task was to review for compliance with current state law, regional policies, also looking at transportation levels of service, especially in the future conditions, and updating plan elements and providing all the text amendments that we would normally do as part of an update, and also supporting staff on preparing and collecting community feedback as part of open houses and any future upcoming public hearings. That we have been coordinating with the Community Planning and Economic Development Department to ensure consistency with the other comprehensive plan elements and updates, as well as schedule and the review and adoptions as the whole comprehensive plan is updated over the course of this year. The original contract amount was $50,000 with planned completion at the end of December 2017, with the majority of the work completed towards the end of 2016. Of course, now we're in 2018. The schedule did change and has been extended to basically be coordinated with the remainder of the comprehensive, because the entire comprehensive plan is being updated this year, and we originally anticipated it being kind of a standalone update a few years ago. So the additional funding we're asking to expend is to basically just to complete the work to collect community feedback, including from the Planning Commission, work sessions, briefings, and basically incorporate any revisions and necessary changes before the plan is adopted later this year or early next year, depending on what the ultimate schedule is. This is a third amendment to the plan. As I mentioned, this has been going on for a little while. The first extended the contract, first extended the duration of the contract, and the second one extended the contract compensation by $5,000 from $50,000 to $55,000. The funding for this contract amendment is from the county road fund. Do you have any questions?
That was my question.
All right, got it.
Nope, no questions, Scott.
Okay.
Any questions? Is there a motion?
I move to approve amending the professional services contract with Thurston Regional Planning Council for transportation planning services to the amount of $60,000, and authorize the Director of Public Works to execute the contract amendments and any amendments not to exceed the amount of $5,000 or an aggregate amount of $65,000.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded as stated. All those in favor say aye.
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 Aye. That motion carries.
Thank
Scott.
you.
So next we have number 6, which is Central Services, and then Martin Casey, the director here, is going to talk a little bit about the resolution establishing a security camera policy.
Thank you, Commissioners. I'm Martin Casey, your Central Services Director, and we are seeking your approval today to establish a security camera policy in the Thurston County Administrative Manual. Last year, the Board authorized several security improvements here at the courthouse, which include installing video security cameras for interior and exterior views of buildings 1, 2, and 3. These projects are now nearing their completion. Also last year, the Board directed the County Manager and me to draft a policy on security cameras. We considered reviews of applicable employment laws, state records retention standards, and content from security camera policies already adopted by other local jurisdictions. And then over the last several months, we've shared that draft with county leaders, the unions representing courthouse employees, and our security consultants for further review and feedback. The final draft policy includes important direction on the allowable uses of the cameras and video recordings, protections for privacy, responsibility for camera systems administration and maintenance, and compliance with video record retention and disclosure requirements. We had the opportunity to review the final draft policy with you at a briefing on June 27th before you directed placing it on today's agenda. I would also like to note that the final configuration testing and training on these systems will be occurring throughout this summer. Security procedures and policies are currently being reviewed also by the Court Security Committee, and the cameras are not set to be fully activated until all of these policy and procedural steps have been completed. Be happy to answer any questions.
Questions of Martin?
Nope, I think we settled them all in the work session. Thank you very much, Martin.
Thank you.
We did, but I just want to reiterate that the represented employees, they vetted this policy as well, have been a part and parcel of putting it together.
Human Resources, and with participation from my team, participated in demands to bargain over the impacts of the installation of security cameras and the use of video recordings, and the county successfully reached a memorandum of understanding with the unions, and those provisions, the key portions of them, have been incorporated in this policy.
Beautiful. Thank you, Martin.
All right, is there a motion?
Move to adopt the resolution establishing the security camera policy in the Thurston County Administrative Manual.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded as stated. All those in favor say aye.
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 Aye, and that motion carries. Thank you, Martin.
Thank you very much.
Now we're on item number 7, which is the Commissioners and County Managers item. Ask Ramiro Chavez, the County Manager, to give a little bit of background on the adoption of the 2019-2020 Thurston County Strategic Plan.
Thank you again, Commissioners. Let me take you back to mid-2017 when the board approved hiring a consultant, Bird Consultant from Seattle, to help us develop the 2019-2020 strategic plan that is before you today. The process began back in October 16, 2017, on a kickoff meeting with many different stakeholders. At that meeting, we established 3 major goals: engage Thurston County citizens, engage county staff and elected officials, and develop an implementation initiatives within the whole context. Related to the first objective, engage the Thurston County citizens, we conducted a phone survey where it's statistically valid. We have 503 responses. We also conducted an online survey. We had 2,263 responses. And we also provided postcard surveys to those who wants to provide comments in writing. We received 22. We also conducted 3 open houses at Rainier, Lacey, and Rochester, where we have 75 citizens attending and providing public input. And we also entertain focus groups, specifically some of those individuals who may have specific items to address in the strategic plan. And those focus groups we had at Rainier, Lacey, and Rochester, and we have 17 participants on that. Related to the second objective, engage county staff and elected officials, we engage all the offices, which includes the assessor, the auditor, the Board of County Commissioners, the coroner, the county clerk, district court, prosecuting attorney, sheriff, office, superior court, and treasurer, as well as all departments, which includes the central services, community planning, and economic development, emergency services, human resources, pretrial services, Office of Public Defense, public health and social services, and public works. And we also entertain a series of meetings with what we call the executive team, which represents from the offices and departments. And again, we held the first meeting on October 16, 2017. We had another work session on January 12, 2018. The next session was a mini retreat. We held on April 6, 2018, and we had a final meeting in May 5, 2018. And I believe all of you participated in all those sessions. The third objective was to the implementation of the initiatives. And how we came about to that point was we take all that feedback from the citizen survey and the citizens' perspective, and we blend it on the perspective of the many different stakeholders, again, from the offices and departments, which we concluded on developing 18 major initiatives. And let me walk you through the 18 major initiatives that we have before us. One is improve the health outcomes for all, improve community health, wellness, and safety, collaborate with community partners to reduce homelessness and implement Thurston Thrive's housing strategies, strengthen emergency management planning and community disaster preparedness, strengthen emergency medical services provided countywide by Medic One and area hospitals, proactively shape a strong, diverse economy that provide equitable access to opportunities, balance development with the preservation of county and rural character, natural access and open spaces, support robust and well-maintained infrastructure systems for a thriving community, support environmental health and climate stabilization, ensure safe and equitable access to legal systems, its programs and services, design and deliver innovative services through the continued justice systems reform to maximize community safety, rehabilitation, accountability, and cost effectiveness, and has effective and timely law enforcement responses to protect the public safety, increase opportunities for informed and effective civic engagement, employ sound financial management practices, diversify county revenue sources to guard against economic cycles, provide safe, secure, accessible, and functional facilities to effectively house county services and the associated workforce, make strategic investments in the information technology systems and infrastructure, and lastly, develop, hire, and retain quality, stable, diverse, and thriving workforce. We also develop our mission and vision for the county, and our vision is the Thurston County is a vibrant community ensuring the health, safety, and well-being of the generations to live, work, and play. Our mission is to create a community that promotes health, commerce, and environmental protection with transparency and accountability. And our core values is truth, We act with honesty and good judgment, justice. We're inclusive, equitable, and consistent. Integrity, we are ethical and transparent. Professionalism, we deliver exceptional public service and treat everyone with respect. Accountability, we take responsibility for our actions and outcomes. So the proposal before you is for the strategic plan for 2019 and 2020. As you may have seen in the past, some strategic plans have a 5-year, 10-year perspective. I think this has been a little different because we would like to come back in 2 years and determine what we have accomplished and what else we need to adjust within the strategic plan. So from my personal point of view, I'm very excited that this proposal is before you, and I'll encourage you to adopt the Thurston County Strategic Plan for 2019 and 2020.
Thank you. Any questions or comments?
Ready to do it.
It was very intense and comprehensive outreach that was done on this whole thing. Yeah, very good about it.
Sure. Can you just speak to it about it being since 2014, here it is 18, and how it's kind of a 2-year period thing?
Right. Mm-hmm. So the previous strategic plan that we had for the county was from 2014 and 2018. Some of the lessons learned that we had in the strategic plan was perhaps it was lofty goals. Perhaps we didn't have the opportunity to achieve those goals. And it was because a long period of time that we didn't have the opportunity to check in and determine what we need to adjust. And again, this is a 2-year period. What it's going to be allow us to do in 2 years is refocus again as to what we have accomplished and perhaps what is it that we need to change in the upcoming years as well.
Thank you for the comment. All right, is there a motion to adopt?
I move to adopt the 2019-2020 Thurston County Strategic Plan.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded as stated. All those in favor say aye.
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 Aye, and that motion carries. Next, we have on the item is for commissioners to report out on any work sessions, assigned committees, or just anything they see in the public. And I'll turn to my seatmate here and see if there's anything he has to say.
I guess I would say, well, being we just adopted the 2020 Thurston County Strategic Plan, or 1920 plan, following up on that, I would like to make sure that we follow up with our constituents that we've had a couple of weeks in a row now where we've had questions asked about the constitutionality by Mr. Tivetan and Mr. Weaver on certain issues involving property rights. And I'd like to ask that possibly staff could look into that and get us an answer on how that fits with what we're doing on a regular basis. And then activities, I guess I would say, been pretty active, working mostly water with quality and quantity, gophers, zoning, the comp plan, and just general follow-up in government. I'm going to let it stay at that short.
Okay.
Wow.
How about you?
Some of the highlights from last week was I attended Scott Hanauer. He's the Executive Director of Community Youth Services, and he is retiring, so I attended his retirement function. He took over just a few years ago from Charles Chelan, who was legendary in this community for CYS. But at the same time, I want to welcome and congratulate Derek Harris for being hired as the Executive Director. A very nice, well-attended function. I worked with or attended at the invitation of the Olympia Standard. The Olympia Standard is a podcast sponsored by OPR, Olympia Pop Rocks. And it was a 1-hour podcast that I did. It's an interview and conversation or chat with these folks as the hosts, along with Renata Rollins, Olympia City Council person. And that was fun and engaging. And this last Sunday, I attended the NAMI, which is the National Alliance on Mental Illness. They had their, in their Thurston Mason NAMI, their summer volunteer dinner event, recognizing the volunteers that work with NAMI, working with mental illness, and who have family members. It could be a mom and dad, brother, sister, son, or daughter with mental illness. And it was well attended. Some of their programs are In Our Own Voice, Family to Family, Peer to Peer, Homefront, Providers Education, Smarts for Advocacy. And these ladies and gentlemen, young and old, and everywhere in between, devote their time to these programs, various programs in community education and outreach, but also with some of their constituents, and it's very heartwarming. They're the type of folks that, and like volunteers, all volunteers, they see a need, but feel the responsibility to do something about it. And they don't get paid, and it's not because they're worthless, they are absolutely priceless. But these are caring folks that help those folks that didn't ask to be mentally ill or suffer from an illness, but they see the need to help them out and provide loving care. And it was a very well-attended dinner, put on by Stacy Coleman, the now president of Thurston Mason, and the CEO or COO, Marilyn Roberts, with NAMI held out in Lacey. Very rewarding, and it was a very good dinner. It's catered by Bud Bay Cafe. I might give them an advert too. Thank you, that's it.
All righty. For me, last week I was at a conference. It's called the NACHO Conference. It's the National Association of Communities and Health Officials. Basically, it's community health and there's so many topics to cover, from children to elderly and everything in between. In particular was the opioids, the HIV in the South, and breastfeeding, even down to bleach and how to use bleach in the most appropriate way, and workforce, as far as a healthy workforce within your community. A whole host of materials. I'll come back and brief, give a little bit more details and description of what some of the lessons learned. But it's just absolutely great to see the nation come together. So all the counties that could come, be able to participate throughout the entire country, and just to see where we stand or fall or fit in, and just to see the practices of all the other counties is rewarding. So, okay, with that, I'll turn to the county manager and see if he has anything to say.
Thank you, Commissioners. Just a reminder to the public, the next week's Board of County Commissioners has been canceled. And so let me walk you through for the upcoming 2 weeks of your combined schedules, where at least 2 commissioners will be present. You may have individual appointments on your individual calendars, and those will not be part of my report. Beginning here in a few minutes at 3:30, you have your regular transportation benefit district, which the agenda has been posted. At 5:30 this afternoon, you also will hold a public hearing on the building code that will be titled 14. On Wednesday, tomorrow, July 18th at 9 in the morning, you have a briefing on the indirect cost plan update for 2018 budget. 9:30, you have a briefing on the stormwater utility capital facilities plan. 10 in the morning, you have a briefing from the Veterans Advisory Board. At 10:30, you have a briefing related to the procurement options for the solid waste contracts. That is related to the contract for the solid waste disposal at the work in the Hawkesbury area. Tomorrow at noon, you have a luncheon with your elected officials. At 1:30, you have a briefing on the Habitat Conservation Plan, the actual plan that will last for an hour. And at 2:30 tomorrow, July 18th, you have a briefing on the Thurston Conservation District system rates and charges. Thursday, July 19th, at 1 in the afternoon, you have the Thurston Mason Behavioral Health Organization at the agenda setting. Commissioner Hutchins and Commissioner Blake will be attending that meeting. At 4:30 in the afternoon, July 19th, you have the Law and Justice Council. Friday, July 20th, at 8 in the morning, you will be attending the study. That is the South Thurston Economic Development Initiative. Moving on to Monday, July 23rd, 2 in the afternoon, you have a meeting related to the Civic Center Courthouse project with the City of Olympia. On Tuesday, July 24th in the morning, you will review the agenda for the following week. And also in the afternoon, in lieu of canceling the Board of County Commissioners, you will have a budget workshop in preparation to the 2019-2020 budget. Wednesday, July 25th at 9 in the morning, you will have a Board of Health briefing related to the Henderson Inlet water quality. At 10 on July 25th, you have a briefing on the building and construction of the code amendments, Title 14, and that is a follow-up to the public testimony that you might receive tonight. 10:30 on July 25th in the morning, nothing has been scheduled. At 2 in the afternoon, July 25th, You have a briefing on the county elections cybersecurity. And at 3:30 in the afternoon on July 25th, you have a voluntary employee benefits associations, what we call VEBA plan. That will be a briefing, some of the benefits they might be common to the county employees. And that's all I have for you today. Oh, thank you. On the 24th, 6 in the afternoon, 5:30 in the afternoon, you have a public hearing related to the Spooner's Land Use Plan Amendment. Thank you.
Any questions for the county manager?
No, sir.
No, sir.
All righty, let's see if there's nothing else. Is there a motion to adjourn?
Move to adjourn the Board of County Commissioners meeting of July 17, 2018.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded as stated. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye, we are adjourned.